So early this year, back at Alton Park, round 4 of UK Time Attack, this happened. And we were sharing that garage with Colin from GFB, which is this guy you can hear here. Who was seemingly impressed of how quickly we managed to repair our little Micra with a blown open intake manifold. So they got chatting with the boys from Haltech, and they seemed to express a bit of interest in our little Micra. Long story short, Colin emailed me out of the blue the other day, just at the perfect time, and they've asked if there's anything they could do for us and if they could get on board with the little Micra. So up until now, we have not had the supercharger working correctly on our little Micra, and there's a few reasons why. Now, we have played with it, but what happened is that when we activated the supercharger, when you come off the throttle and the throttle slammed shut, there was a lot of excess boost in the boost pipe. Now, if you're on a turbo, that's vented back out through the turbine inlet in the form of compressor surge, which is this noise. And my theory was that when the throttle blade slammed shut, the excess pressure that was created from the supercharger would exit via the turbo as compressor surge. Unfortunately, it kind of did, kind of didn't, because of how the way we've got our supercharger sort of segmented at the bottom here. What we found was that some of the pressurized air went back through to the supercharger, and it loaded up the rotors. Now, you can slow down a compressor wheel on a turbo, but you can't slow down a rotor. So we need some way to vent that excess pressure from the supercharger. Now, I love compressor surge noises. That's the main reason why we don't run a blow-off valve. To get the supercharger working, which is the whole point of this car, we're going to have to run a blow-off valve. So Colin at GFB has sent me this little piece of kit here. Hopefully we can take this out all one-handed. There we go. And Colin has sent me the SV52 blow-off valve. So this is GFB's SV52 blow-off valve, and they claim it outflows every other single blow-off valve on the market. So hopefully this is going to do the job we need it to get all the pressurised air from the supercharger out the system as quickly as possible. So installing the blow-off valve is a relatively simple task. It's a case of weld the flange to the pipework, then install the blow-off valve to the pipework. The problem we've got is the flange on the blow-off valve is aluminium, and our piece here where I want to install it is stainless steel. Now, we could do the obvious thing, and that is install it on this aluminium pipe here. However, I want to mount the blow-off valve as close to the throttle body as possible. The reason being, because of how we've got the supercharger and turbocharger all plumbed in, is I want the blow-off valve as close to the throttle body butterfly as possible. So when the throttle slams shut, the blow-off valve opens, and then in theory, is that the pressurised air has got the least distance to travel to exit the system. And this is the same way that it was done on the old Lancia Delta S4 rally car. So if it's good for an old Group B rally car, it should be good enough to go on the Micra. So in order to mount the blow-off valve there, we've got to change that piece to an aluminium piece. Now, luckily, I've got some pieces left over here for when we did the inlet manifold. So I've got this throttle body flange, which is what we designed to go in the inlet manifold. Now, I'm not going to machine a new flange. I'm going to trim off this slip here all the way around. We'll drill out these holes to M8, and then we can reuse that flange, save a bit of money, save a bit of time. And then I've got this aluminium offcut, which is a 2.5 inch 45, and that should be roughly about the right angle we need to get that in there. So we'll start off by stripping the old one off the car. We'll go drill that flange out, cut that excess piece off, and then we'll get mocking up with the pipe. Now this bit's for Ilya, so we're going to weigh these two parts, and I want you to drop a comment down below of how much you think this weighs and how much you think the new aluminium one weighs. You done it? Good, let's find out. So stainless steel, we're in at we'll call it 334 grams, and then the aluminium one we'll call that 160 grams. So pretty much the aluminium one weighs half as much as the stainless steel one. So that is actually a really nicely machined flange, that. Really nice. And there we go, looks pretty neat. So just go put this back on the car. Right, so before we fit this back onto the car, we need to set the spring pressure up. Now, ours is a bit of an odd case because we're turbo and supercharger, but we've mainly installed this for the supercharger. So this suggests that we stick the softest spring in there as possible. So to set the spring rate, push it down, unscrew this M5 nut, let it up slowly, and there we are, that's our internals. And I'm going to guess that this longer spring is the softer spring, so we're just going to take out that big spring and then just go with the softer long spring in the centre. And the assembly is the opposite. Boom. Right, we can go fit this to the car. And there we go, one GFB SV52 blow-off valve fitted to the Micra. Now, we're due to go for a dyno session very, very shortly, so I need to drop the oil on this bitch, get a new filter on there, ready for dyno, to make sure we've got the proper oil in there. So, once again, thanks to GFB and Colin for setting that down. Hopefully, we're going to find out very shortly if it's going to do what we need it to do. So, yeah, without further ado, don't forget to like this video, drop a comment down below, subscribe, and of course, don't forget to tell your nan.